It is December, which means it is time to look back and see how my 2025 in gaming was. I did play quite a bit. My total, including demos, was about 45 games, which is a good increase for me. And let's just kind of go in. I made a list of some of the games and achievements that kind of showcase how 2025 went for me. Now, the first one is my most played game, and thanks to Steam, I discovered that I was chronically addicted to Marvel Rivals. I had no idea that it was this bad. I thought that I had played here and there, maybe binged a few weekends with my friends, and maybe added up to 50 hours. No, I was very wrong. It is actually 152 hours total. Now, most of this was spent playing in the first about 4 months of the year, which was most of the games that I played in the first 4 months. It was just Marvel Rivals. But it was a lot of fun. It accounted for 25% of my overall game time. And apparently I logged on and played 84 sessions this year. I just don't know how I managed to do that. And the thing that kind of makes it worse is me and my friends were feeling pretty good about the game, so we wanted to try and climb in ranked. And the highest we managed to get was, I believe, in season 2, maybe, we got to gold for a very short period of time. And then quickly went back to silver. So even though that's really bad in a general perspective, it's the best we've done as non-shooter, non-hero shooter gamers. So that was still an accomplishment for us. The next award that I have is actually one that I didn't expect to ever get. I am someone who typically rolls credits on games but never completes all the achievements because I've kind of been a Nintendo kid for most of my life, so we don't have achievements on Nintendo platforms. But I am very much a Steam gamer now, and they have achievements. And the first game that I have ever 100%ed was Urban Jungle this year. This was really cool. I really liked the game. It was pretty simple to just pop a bunch of the achievements while I was playing through normally. And then I believe I was left with 2 decently simple ones at the end. It was get 100 plants into 1 level and then complete the plant encyclopedia. Now, the plant encyclopedia took a bit because it is completely RNG based on whether or not that plant pops up for you. But eventually, after I think about 2 hours of grinding and just throwing plants down, I was able to get it. And that popped my first ever blue ribbon on Steam, and it was very fun. And I think that has started something, because now I want to 100% a bunch of my games, especially the indie titles that I have. Now, I did end up completing a total of 6 games 100% this year, and the hardest one happened to be Slime Rancher. Now, my most easiest one was Sushi Ben, which was just straight through 1 playthrough, didn't have to do anything extra. For Slime Rancher, I had to go through 3 different save files to get all of the achievements. Now, the achievements itself weren't very hard, and I thought the most difficult one would be the getting 3 gold plorts from a single golden slime. That was actually decently simple. I ended up just gathering some gilded ginger and walking around with 1 or 2 in my inventory through the last few hours of my main run through. Now, there was sadly many gilded ginger that was lost due to me dying, and there was also many golden slimes that were missed because my reaction time was so slow. I was caught up in the shock of the golden slime appearing and missed it. But finally, I found a good way to farm slime spawns. I went to one of the small islands and just started chucking slimes off the side, and in less than 20 minutes, a golden slime appeared. So I don't know if my method actually worked, but in my heart, doing that helped me get the golden slime. Turns out I had been playing on casual mode, which I do highly recommend for people who just want to play through Slime Rancher. But the problem is I couldn't spawn tars. They were impossible to create or spawn in casual mode. So I got all of the achievements that I could in casual mode, went through, played rush mode, got those 3, and then had to start a brand new adventure mode. It was a struggle because it was very boring, and overall it was just a grind, and it kind of put a damper on the overall game for me. But that by far was the hardest one. It was so grinding, but I did end up popping the achievement I got 100% in Slime Rancher, and even though that was a super big drag and kind of dampened the gameplay experience for me, I'm still really excited to try out Slime Rancher 2 at some point. And a little shout out for all of the games that I have 100%ed this year. We said already that Urban Jungle was the first one. Then I went back through and cleaned up 2 or 3 lagging achievements in Into the Emberlands. And then 1 playthrough and I got all of the achievements in Sushi Ben. I did have to do some grinding in Cats and Cups, but I just kind of binged through it and got everything for Cats and Cups. I actually grabbed back Crypt Custodian and went through and finished all the achievements for that one. That was probably the most fun I had getting all the achievements, because it was really just, the main ones was finishing the boss rush mode, which I actually hadn't touched. And I would definitely say that one was my favorite. And then the last one was Slime Rancher. Now, I have also been trying to juggle playing some gacha games this year. It really flips depending on my mood. If I'm not really into the idea of playing like a game in that moment, I'll just throw in a gacha game and grind out some stuff. And one of those games that I deleted and re-downloaded through Steam so I could track my time was Wuthering Waves, and I apparently put in 77 hours. Where those hours came from, I'm not quite sure. Now, this is a game that I played at launch, kind of dropped, and then came back because I keep seeing all these really pretty characters and the beautiful world and all these updates, and I kind of get FOMO and I kind of like just want to play it. So I got back in and was grinding a bunch. I don't think gacha games, any of them, even if I really like them, will ever get me to not be super casual with them and play them as I would a regular game that I'm progressing through to find credits and get all the achievements. But I did have fun, and even though I've kind of dropped it again, I keep seeing stuff for, I believe it's their 3.1 trailer. It looks gorgeous. The game looks really good, and it's really fun when I play it. I just don't have the motivation to consistently play an open world gacha game. I don't know. There's just this brick wall that I can't get past. It's something. I still really like the game. I still want to go back and try it. It's kind of there with ZZZ. Again, I get tempted by the characters because they're all really pretty and all these gacha games look really nice. But God, do they take a lot of time. Now, the newest gacha game that I have kind of played and stuck with, Chaos Zero Nightmare. It is a more darker card-based game, and even though it kind of failed to follow through on the true dark themes that they wanted to do due to some internal writing issues, I still like it. It's still darker than most of the games that I've seen, and I like the story so far. Usually gacha games, I click through the story and I just go for the gameplay, but I'm actually trying to pay attention to the story. I like the card dynamic. I like that you can have different batches of cards. Maybe in batch A you've earned a special card on your way through Chaos. Maybe one you've evolved differently. And I like that. It makes it feel like going through and getting gear and leveling up cards is worth it. Now, I will say leveling up characters, and especially when you have to level up a second team, is a lot. It takes a lot of time, but I still enjoyed it. I felt like every day I was able to make some kind of small incremental improvements. And I feel like it's a pretty solid game. I haven't played a bunch of gacha games, but I've slowly been playing more and more since about 2020. But I enjoy this. Again, I'm not playing it every day. When I got into it about 5 days after it launched, I was going in and trying to do dailies and stuff because I was really motivated to build up my team. But now my team is all level 60 and I should probably do the events. But overall, pretty solid. I'm pretty happy with it. Now this is an award for the game that is still not finished. Now I do have a few that I haven't rolled credits on that I want to get back to. Stuff like Dave the Diver, where I've technically rolled credits, but there's still a bunch of stuff to do. Cult of the Lamb, to where I'm pretty invested in it. My run's pretty far, but I just haven't gone through and defeated the main boss. But this game has basically haunted my backlog for 3 years, and that is Persona 5. Now, I go in and I binge Persona 5 for about a weekend or so. Every now and then. It tends to happen in the summer and then in the winter. Now, the problem is I am kind of in my basement here. That's where my PC setup is. And Persona is on my PS4, which is upstairs in the living room. So I tend to be down here in the basement a lot because I play a lot of my games on Steam, and so I'm here and I have Discord open and I'm ADHD, so I have a YouTube video on the side, and I just tend to come down here and not play games on the couch. So I try, and at least when we have a long weekend from work, try and get the motivation to play Persona. Now, I really feel like I'm very close to the end. I have a feeling I've finished all the palaces and I'm working my way towards the big final boss. So, even though I said this last year and the year before, I think next year's the year I finally finish Persona 5. Now, I like to participate in the Steam Next Fests, and I just want to see demos, see the potential of games coming out, and I played a lot of demos this year. So I wanted to go through my top 3 demos and share it with you guys, and these aren't in any order. And the first one is Dead as Disco. Now, this is a rhythm-based fighting game, and the soundtrack is so amazing. I loved it so much. And the fighting, it feels really good. It's on beat, and you do these crazy things. It's just so fast-paced and amazing, and in the demo you just get a handful of songs, and I went through and I replayed those handful of songs until I got my max score. It's so good, but it's so hard to explain unless you go through and play it. But the demo is out now. I highly suggest playing it. It's so good. If you like music, you're gonna enjoy it. Next is Haste. This is just my go fast game. It's so much fun. You're basically this girl who's trying to outrun the earth falling from under your feet, and there's hills all over the area, and you have to try and jump at the peak of them to get the most air and to maintain your speed, because if you go too slow, you're going to take damage and you're going to lose the run. Now, the run is a roguelite, and you're basically going to go through these different sections of land, trying to dodge trees, different structures, fire beams, and there will be shops, and there will be challenge zones to where maybe you have to stay alive, maybe you have to catch something. And then finally there's these big boss fight zones at the end of a run to where you have to dodge missile fire, and you have to find this big massive monster of a machine somewhere on the map, and you have to go and run into it 3 times like Mario. I love this game so much. I actually showed the demo to a friend, and he got so obsessed with it, he got the full thing and had been streaming it. And it's a lot of fun. I've really been getting into roguelites this year, because before I would have looked at that and been like, oh, but I can't just run endlessly. I don't really care for it. But I loved it. I played through the demo fully twice. It's just a good no-brain autopilot type game, and I just really need to get the full game. Next is one of the latest demos that I tried, and it is Lunch Break Tactics. It's a card game that lets you pick a hero into card packs. Now, the hero will have some type of ability. All of the cards are kind of based off of household items, foods, stuff you can find in a supermarket. And the entire game is supposedly taking place in the back of a supermarket that you work at. There's so many different synergies, and I've said this before, it feels like a 𝕽𝕚 level of chains that you can make happen. So all 3 of those demos, amazing. I love them. I've actually played so many demos this year that I've started about doing a monthly series to where I just recommend 5 demos. So if you like the idea of that, let me know in the comments, and also if you have demos, suggest them down below. I love playing a good demo. Now, next one is my least favorite game I have played in 2025, and hands down that has to go to Rocket Squad Infinity. This is a game I got the code to review for Minimap, and I started playing it. I read it. It was this cool extraction shooter to where it's got like this capitalism type feel. You go in, you gotta pay for your lodging, you gotta pay for everything. If you're downed, you gotta pay to respawn. Like corrupt, futuristic type thing to where it seemed like you were going and exploiting different planets to try and get resources for your own. I get into it. The movement's kind of clunky. There wasn't a whole lot of like personality or shine to it. It wasn't early access, so I'm just like, well, I'll let that part go. But then I get into the game. It was so boring. No matter which planet I went to, they all were the same. It was copy and paste. It was boring. I tried to give it a chance. I gave it as long as I could, but I was seeing no changes. I was seeing no mix-ups. I was seeing nothing new after the first time I went to a planet. Now, there are different characters that you can unlock to kind of change up your gameplay style, but that does not fix the fact that all of the planets feel the same. There's no thing to differentiate them. Maybe the environment's different. Maybe the monsters are different. Maybe something interacts with you in a different way. I couldn't find any of that. It was by far the worst game, so I ended up just making a short about it, telling people not to buy it. Now, coming on to a different look at 2025 is games that I really wanted to play, but just missed due to I have a lot of games already in my backlog, and I'm trying to play through those, and games are expensive, and so on and so forth. Now, one of them, they're not in any kind of order. First one being Silksong. Now, I actually did play through and finish Hollow Knight for the first time this year when Silksong was announced that it would be releasing. So I played through one. Now I'm ready to play through the second one. I just needed some time in between because there were so many good games coming out. But I do want to play Silksong. And I guess we could tie in Hades 2. I still need to beat Hades 1. So it's not on there because I haven't even beaten Hades 1. It's not even a thought in my head right now. Then we have Unbeatable. It came out really recently, but it looks really good. The rhythm-based gameplay and just the fighting type stuff, I really want to play it. So it's definitely on my radar for 2026. Then we have The Midnight Walk. This looked gorgeous. I really wanted to play it. I've been getting into more horror games and it was kind of giving me that nice dark feel, maybe some psychological unsettlement. I just really want to play it and I will hopefully get to it next year. Then we have Silent Hill F, keeping with the nature of wanting to get more into horror games. I don't know what has gotten into me this year, but I do really want to get into horror games. I keep debating. I know they don't need to be played in order because they're not any kind of timeline, but I want to try and play earlier Silent Hill games, like maybe Silent Hill 2, solely because I personally like to play games from a franchise in as chronological of an order as I can, just because I like to see how the developers were able to advance and come along throughout the years. And the last one is Keeper. Now this got like 5 minutes of fame in the indie side of the internet and then just kind of died off and I haven't heard much about it. So I actually almost forgot whenever I was looking through the games of 2025 to see what my top 5 ones would be. And this is one where you play as this sentient lighthouse and you go through a little adventure and it just seems right up my alley. Now, of course, these games are not the only ones that I want to play from this year, but these are probably the top 5 for me. This one should have been earlier in the video. It got missed for getting put up, but it's my favorite gacha game that I've played this year. And I think that has to go to Infinity Nikki. Much like Wu-Wa that I talked about earlier, Infinity Nikki is a game that I played at launch and then dropped because I got busy and the gameplay didn't really keep me. But once again, I saw the beautiful trailers for the upcoming big update for the game, and so between that and one of my friends that has been addicted to the game begging me to come back, I ended up re-downloading it and I am really enjoying it. I might not be super following the story, but I just really like dressing up Nikki and the world's really pretty and I just want to find cute clothes and dress her up and make my clothes really powerful and win the dress up battles. That's really all I want out of it and I'm getting that from it, so I'm very happy. Now, runner up for the best award, favorite single player game. I really like single player games and over the past few years I've been getting into more multiplayer games, but single player games will always have a nice place in my heart because that's what I grew up with. And most of the time those have an actual ending, whereas a lot of multiplayer games don't. But that has to go with a game that I played all the way back in January, and honorable mention to Dredge. If it released this year, it would have been on there, but it's from like 2023. So it gets an honorable mention for being my favorite game of single player style variety. But 𝕚𝕟𝕟𝕠𝕣𝕖 Bloom in the Mist actually gets the award. Now this is a game that it's a Metroidvania, and I got the demo to review end of last year. And then I was told, hey, it's coming out in 1.0 full access in January. Do you want to get the full code and do a review of the full game? And I was like, sure, yeah. And I ended up loving it. I wasn't fully sold during the demo playthrough, but going through and kind of seeing the full picture really sold me on it. It's a Metroidvania, and I am not great at Metroidvanias. I'm still kind of early on in my journey of them, but this one does such a good job at kind of guiding you into where you go. I feel like it's really easy to tell where you need to use your new abilities. I feel like the abilities themselves come at a really good pace. The fights, they're brutal, they're challenging, they're not forgiving, but they're not unfair. I feel like 98% of the time, if I died, it was because I screwed up. I didn't get an input in right. I hit the button wrong. I panicked. I froze up. I was overzealous. I felt like 98% of the time it was my fault. And only about 2% of the time was some BS thing in the game. And I enjoyed it a lot. And it's actually on my games to want to go back 100% in 2026. If you like Metroidvanias, I do recommend giving this a try. And last award of the video, favorite multiplayer game. Now, much like single player, this one also gets an honorable mention with Pal Worlds. Me and Amy have been going through and playing Pal World a bunch. We actually went through, did another binge session the other day, and finally leveled up to get through Axel's boss battle. And a game that is kind of similar in our playstyles is the winner, which is Core Keeper. Now this is a game that we only started playing in December, and so you might be going, how did a game that you started playing in December win against all the other multiplayer games that you've played this year? And that is simple. The game is simple yet really complex and vast. It gives me the same vibe that I got whenever we played Stardew Valley, in the sense of we both have somewhat similar vibes to, we want to go fight things, but when it comes to going around the base, we like different things. In Stardew Valley, I would go fish, Amy would go farm, she would tend to our crops and stuff, tend to the animals. We would go to the mines together, and that was kind of what we did. We divide and conquer and play to our strengths of what we enjoy doing. That is very similar to what we do in Core Keeper. I go and fish. She builds and crafts stuff. She makes food. We go wander around in different areas. We both bring back farm animals, and we're naming them after breakfast items. And then we go find a mini boss, and we bash our heads against a wall until I find the stupidest strategy to not cheese it, but yogurt it. And then we beat a mini boss, and then we go back and we look for teleport points and just try and figure out where to go next, because the map is huge, and there's an update coming in January that adds another zone. And yeah, the game is huge, and we're just scratching the surface, but it's so much fun. And that's it. I think that these kind of showcased what my gaming year in 2025 looked like. I've been trying to take content creation a bit more seriously. I've been trying to slowly update my editing style. You can see we're trying to do green screens now since I have an actual one. Thank you, Mother. This was my favorite Christmas gift. And we're just gonna see where it goes from here. But thank you for everyone who watched. I hope you enjoyed watching me talk about what I played in 2025. And if you have any recommendations for video ideas, games to play, whatever, leave them down in the comments and I will get to them. But until then, Please look around my channel, see if you like the stuff that I make, give me a thumbs up on what you do, and maybe hit a subscribe so you don't lose me in the sea of YouTube content. And with that, I hope you have a lovely morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are, and I hope to see you again in a future video. Bye guys!